Hello. How are we doing? What's going on? How's everybody feel? How's everybody? I don't know. Hi. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say hi. I'm trying to get some of the comments that you lovely people were nice enough to submit on Facebook, and we will get into that. Hello to the 3 people watching. Tell a friend. Let's get it to 4. And then we know we'll have succeeded. Oh, now we're down to 2. No, I'm just kidding. We're holding strong at 3. Oh shit, we've made it. We're at 4 people. 4 people are watching. This is an exciting time. I want people to say hello. Joey, Les, how are you? It's been a while. Joey, how are you? How is your day progressing? I know it's early in the day. I hope it's progressing well. Assad, good morning to you. How are you? I've got very full coffee here. Remember, this is the weekend coffee mug. This is the coffee. This mug. It's the Louvre Museum, Musée du Louvre, and so that's where I would like to be. Maybe not at the Louvre. I would maybe the Orsay is great. Orsay is really nice. Used to be a train station. It's beautiful. One thing that I really liked about the Orsay is that it was so bright inside. It has a lot of wonderful natural light. So that's a cool story for you. We've got sounds of the microwave. We've got, we've just got a Saturday morning. Can everybody hear me okay? Last time I did this was a couple weeks ago, and I had to use a different browser. I used Facebook's native streaming thing, and with the little lavalier mic guy that I'm using, it was only the audio is only on like one channel. So if you guys would be nice enough to tell me if like the sound is okay, that would be great. I'm not using that Facebook thing anymore. I think I'm back using what I normally use. But I would just like to confirm that audio is fine. Oh, Les can't stay for the whole session. All right, so he's all right. So this is all right. So this is nice. So Les starts out with, "Hey man, I gotta go. Here's why," and he answers my question. Les is a good dude for many reasons, and this is yet another. So thanks, Les. Just thanks. That's it. Thanks. All right, Mr. Moran, coming in good. Ooh. Ooh. So Mr. Moran has he makes me call him that. He's a client, and he has a really rad Trella on order. And we were discussing some takes on the on some inlays to make them maybe a little like we want them there, but is there a way to make them a little more maybe subtle? Now, I think I have stumbled onto something that's super dope. It's going to be on a NAMM guitar, so I'm not going to show you that, but I will, for Mr. Moran, I will send some photos. The test, the first test was successful. I did another run using a different kind of method that I think works. And tomorrow I'm going to go to the shop and tweak that slightly different. And I think it's going to be really dope. So I know, oh my God, guys, we had 14 for a second. Now we're down to 13, but that's okay. So I know this is probably like you guys don't want to, we're back to 14, hear me speaking directly to a client. Or you know what, maybe you do. Maybe it's that kind of interaction, single focused interaction, while doing a live stream to multiple people. Maybe that's really the content that you crave. It probably isn't, but yeah, that's that. So Mr. Moran, stay tuned. Joey, sounds good, and that sounds good to me. Sounds good here. That's great here. How much have you missed? Well, we did talk about the secret of how I get my hair so damn shiny, but we also haven't talked about how, I'll segue into how I've been so far unable to train my hair to self-correct when we get roots. We'll see if that, you know what? I believe in myself. No, I don't. Top of the morning, Sully, and the bottom of that. Hi, thanks for watching. Coffee's kicked in. All right, good. Oh, morning coffee. On to smoothie. I'm delaying work so I can hang for a bit. All right, stick it to the man, but don't get in trouble. I mean, you know. Hope all is well. Got to run to a meeting. Just want to say, and you know, that's thoughtful. Mr. Decker, I think maybe we'll just call people Mr. Mrs. today. Gave me some tips about using giant rubber bands to glue up your neck and fretboard a little while back. I hope that didn't cut off your circulation. Because I don't, like, look, I'm not here to kink shame. Whatever people want to do, consenting adults want to do in their homes, or, you know, let's just say in their homes, that's, hey man, get into it. And if you want to put rubber bands around your neck, if you want to put giant rubber bands around your neck, yeah, that's the end of the bit. Yeah, so let's. I was looking for topics. I've got some topics, and we'll get into, and I'm happy about that. So gluing up necks, like fretboards to necks, I do use giant rubber bands. You get them from Stuart McDonald, and like, guys, you can miss me with like they're so overpriced. Like, fine. You should use used bicycle tires. Where the fuck am I going to get used bicycle tires for? Anyway, whatever. I can just go online and order a bunch of rubber bands, and they'll show up. And then I don't have to worry about it. So I like to use these giant rubber bands. They're very, very strong for gluing up fretboards to their necks. Why do I do that? Well, because the reason that I do that is the back shapes of the necks are done before the fretboard is glued on. So that makes it a little challenging to get clamps on, because, you know, if you're going to glue two boards together, it's, you know, it's best if these are two flat boards that you can go right. And I've used a bunch of different methods over the years for this particular task. But I've found that using these rubber bands, and you got to wrap them like super, you got to wrap them super tight. It works great. And that has been something that works very, very well for me, because I just said it works great. What is this? Well, that's a Concorde. Actually, that's my 622. That's a Concorde. That's me. This is like one of my favorite guitars. And I know that I have this available on the website. And like, it's priced, like if someone ordered this, like to have one made, it might actually cost a little bit more than I've got this available for. And Buddy reached out yesterday. They're like, "Oh shit, the Peekaboo Trellis sold." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Because I didn't get a notification. And then I felt this like, it worked great. I'm like, oh, maybe I got to take that off the website. And then I'm like, well, you can always make another one. But like that guitar, there's something really, that thing rules. I'm just gonna put that out. I mean, like, yeah, it looks super cool, but like that guitar is like it's like it's everybody's friend. It's like a golden retriever, but it doesn't shed. It shreds. Caffeinated Sully gang, here we go. So someone made a fancy fretboard jig and couldn't help but think, why not use rubber bands? A fancy fretboard jig, oh, like for gluing and clamping. You know, it's one of those things where it's like everybody's got their own way to do it, and you just try a whole bunch of things, and you find out what works best for you and what's like what gives you like the most repeatable level of success, and you go with it. But yeah, I do like the rubber bands. What's funny is that, like, I don't know if it's funny, but at the heel of the neck, I use like a radius block that I cut down to kind of fit like that neck heel area, and I'll still clamp that because for whatever reason there have been times when maybe I felt like I needed a little bit more in that area. And now it's just kind of become like a habit. I probably don't need to do that, but you know, it's like you find a system and you just go with it, and then you don't question it. Never question anything. Sure, it's great advice. Good morning, Santiago, voice of an angel. Scott! Sully shouted. How are you? Look at you. You got that in your profile picture, you playing your pinstripe tralla. That's just great to see. Again, it worked great. I can't stop telling you. Every guitar, somebody, yeah, it's okay, fine. We'll use the fret bender for an example. It's this piece of steel, and it's just got a series of bearings and a little crank. And you use that, you run your fret wire through it, and it gives it a nice radius. Can you save a lot of money by making it yourself? Sure. Does your time have value? That's up to you to ask. Also, and like some people enjoy making that stuff, but like, here's the thing. When trying to make one of these things, yeah, like a picture they hang on the wall, when trying to make one of these things, or one of those things, or one of those things, there's a whole lot of things that you have to be good at in order to have the end result be worth the time. You gotta have a bit of, you've got to have some woodworking skill. You've got to have some painting skill. We'll get to that. You've got to have skill in installing frets. You see where I'm going. Girl, I'm not going to sit here and like make tools. I'm just not. I'm not going to do it, because you know why? I didn't set out to make tools. I might be one, but I didn't set out to make them. And so, while sure, there are probably examples where I've kind of made my own thing that does the thing that whatever, but I can't think of any of those at the time. Well, maybe it's because you're just not very good at it. That's fine. You know who is good at it? People that make tools. So, yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like they sell it, and you get the StewMax membership. This video is not sponsored by StewMax, although they can, if they want to go like, hey man, we want to. They actually have reached out before about, we would like to offer you X amount of money for a couple of videos, and I did one of them like a year later. But turns out that like I like doing videos when I feel like doing videos, not when someone's asking me or willing to pay me for that. That's dumb. But yeah, so you can get the StewMax membership, so it's free shipping. You just buy the thing. I have a wholesale account, so it's like I save a little bit of money. Um, your time has to be worth something. And yeah. And I will say that there are other companies out there who make tools. Um, and I'm not going to name names because I may like those companies, they may offer certain things that aren't necessarily tools that I do use and like, but and maybe they offer some tools that I like, but there are other tools that they offer that I just don't like. And I've these tools that I've purchased, and I'm like, I've got like this. Maybe it's a fret file, and it looks like it's nice and it's well thought out. Um, but in practice, it doesn't work as well for me as the little $9, I think it's $9, StewMac fret end file. That thing is great. I keep going back to that one. And, stuff like that. So while their tools may be a little bit more expensive, I don't know, probably, I've seen some things, I've heard tale. But they work better for me. There's a few examples, exceptions rather, like the best stainless steel fret tang nipper that I've ever had was this one I bought like 12 years ago from All Parts, and they're made in Belarus, and they weren't consistently well made, and because I remember I'd buy like a couple and offer like resell them, and I've had ones in certain batches, like you use it once and it explodes, it breaks, which is bad. But like StewMac has a fret tang nipper for stainless steel that I don't, or that I think it's like an ultimate fret tang nipper or whatever, that I don't really like. I'll use it, but I don't really like it. It works better for nickel. Like it doesn't like using stainless. Like it'll cut it, but it doesn't like it, which is, there's lots of things that I'll do that I don't like. So, I mean, I get it, fret tang nipper. But so yeah, that one that I got years ago, and it's broken. I can still make it work, but it's a little fiddly. And the nice thing is that we get our stainless steel frets. They're cut to our fretboard taper, and they're undercut and they're bent to our fretboard radius. So I don't really have to do the undercutting anymore and cutting to exact sizes. I can just drop them in. But sometimes if I've got to do a bass or a 7-string or nickel fret wire, I don't have those pre-cut. And I gotta say, whenever I'm installing nickel fret wire, which it's really rare, during the install process, when I'm cutting and doing all this stuff, I'm always like, why am I not using this? Why am I not using this all the time? I mean, and it's because to me, stainless feels better. It's a better playing experience, but oh my God, it's so much easier to cut nickel wire than stainless. Anyway, sounds funny at first, but it makes sense. I get that a lot. Michael Fulkerson, Sostress of the Dust. All right. He's got to make a taco breakfast for less. Okay. Carry on, Rubber Band Man. All right. What else we got? We've got people checking. See, I like this. This is Scott's doing well. I'm glad. Joey, for $1 less, you can order. There's the other thing. Good morning from Sacramento. Good morning to Sacramento. Ooh, Joey, you've got a great point. And I was going to say this, and then I forgot. They warranty everything for life. And honestly, I haven't really tested that, but I'm gonna, because I've got, am I shouting? I feel like I'm shouting. I've got a couple of their fret cutters. It's like a flush ground fret cutter. And I've had them for a dozen years. And maybe they've improved them over time, but I have used them on stainless, and like they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we're not going to work on this, and so they're super chewed up. But like I can use them for like other stuff, like if I've got to pull like locator pins out or something, and whatever. So like I can still use them, but like I don't know, maybe I could be like, hey, let me just send you a picture of this, and like, but I've also had like, I'll get body blanks from them. And sometimes there have been some issues and they take care of it immediately. So like, there's no reason, like people can miss me on the StewMac hate. Frat Tank Clan. Yeah, Frat Tank Clan is for the children. Joe, I want to take this specific time of the morning of the day of the Saturday to say, hey man, how are you? I mean, I know you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm fine, but like really, how you doing, man? I'm sure you're great. I work on cars and provide. My man Assad coming in with the real good points. Fun fact, I work 2 blocks from StewMac. They stopped walk-in sales a couple years ago. Yeah, that is a bummer. Yeah. That StewMax thing, like, yeah, sure, it's another revenue stream, but like if you get stuff regularly, it's totally worth it. Yeah, that's too bad that they stopped the walk-in stuff, but I mean, like I can imagine that probably gets a little unwieldy. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like StewMac. So we have some questions on the Facebook page, and I'm going to do? I'm going to answer them. Let's see. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this in here. Where is that? Captions, live chat, private chat, text block. I think it's this. I think that's when I do this. And we're going to, paste. Okay, why is this not? Oh, come on, man. Copy. I can do this. Okay, now let's see what happens. Text, settings, but there we go. So Hank asked if I'm finding a flow with machinery, benches, and storage set up in the new place. The answer is an unequivocal no. Have not. There are, like, it's not, it's nowhere near optimal. And I'm probably making this sound worse than it is, but like, okay, so you walk in and the laser's there, which that's good because we have an exhaust hose that needs to go, and that just goes out the door when the laser's in use. And then like right outside, like you walk in and you'll see the offices, and right outside of the offices is like my setup bench kind of thing. And like that's set up pretty well. Like there's pegboard with all the tools and stuff. It's organized, and that's nice. Problem is, a lot of those tools are things that get used elsewhere. So there's a lot of like, where the hell, like I got to take this and I got to go over to this one. No. Why don't you have multiple things? Well, sure. But that's just one example. Yeah, it's not great. But it's also at the point where I look at it, and honestly, I think it's always been at this point where I kind of look and I go, I don't know what the fuck to do with this. Like, where am I going to put this? Where am I going to put this? And it's not that there's not room for stuff, because there is. I just can't see it. And, there's just like so many other things that I have to do. I just can't get to it. So it's a bummer, but I'm working on it. There's some stuff that has to, like, it kind of has to go on hold because very soon, I bought this like portable inflatable like paint booth. It looks like a bouncy house, but for paint. And like it's gonna go like kind of right in this specific spot, like in the beginning of the place in like kind of in the main walkway. And it, it does take up a fair amount of space, but there's some paint stuff that I have to do pretty soon because, because there's some NAMM related stuff that, all of it's on a timeline, right? So I gotta get this stuff done, but I hope that I can make it. I can make it better. I just don't have the real answer for it. Certain sections are kind of like, yeah, this area is okay, but like other parts are like, ugh, I hate this. But that's where we are. And that's the end of that. No, I don't want to do that. How do we? Okay, so we do this, and then we just get rid of that, and then we will paste the next question. Okay, well, you know what? Here, let's see. Now, this question was asked by Keith Schwathauer. Now, Keith, I hope you're watching. You may not be. You might be. I don't know. What brand of paint do you use and how many coats usually? So, this is a topic in and of itself. And so, years ago, I got to a point where my workload was such that it wasn't conducive. It was smart to not have to tear everything down and get things ready for paint. And then kind of make that like Dexter's kill room, because it stops everything anyway. So it was like, let's work with some people that do this for a living, so then I can kind of focus on this, and then we can, increase our production. That said, before I was at that point, I was shooting mostly, actually all the time, I was shooting automotive urethane. I'm going to let you think about that for a little while. And I would go to, the short story is, I knew some guys that did some, they had a body shop, and they were interested in, painting some guitars for me. It didn't work out, and they were unable to, I guess unwilling is really the word, but they were unable to, and I don't mean it in a mean way, to complete the things that were already in progress. And so I was, shit. So I was fortunate in that when they were working on my stuff, I was there. So I could see, okay, so we mix up like this, and this is the source where you get your paint from. And I'm like, okay, well, I found out where that place is, so let me just go over there. And I'm just like, hey, I need some black. And they're like, well, which black? I'm like, oh, and then there's color chip books and stuff. And then I find out, this one. Okay, do you want that in this paint system or in this paint system or in this paint system? I'm like, no. And anyway, you get the point. It was quite a learning curve. But I would use a catalyzed urethane primer, which, so the catalyzed means, there's it's got a catalyst, a hardener in it. So you mix these two things together, and then, there's a hardener, and then, you kind of move on to the next step. Go to your colors, go to your clears. And when shooting automotive urethane, I would do the primer, and the whole thing we were talking about, like how many coats. This really depends on like what method you're using. So like, for example, if you're in a situation where your only options are spray cans, which have come a long way over the last 10 years, your approach may be different from someone that if you're spraying catalyzed urethane or polyester top coats and sealers, or nitro lacquer. Some of the spray cans are like an acrylic lacquer, Of course, there are catalyzed urethanes that you can get in a spray can, and there are some really good ones out there. And I don't want to. We'll stop. If you're using spray cans, you're going to use more, because that stuff gases off a lot, and especially like if you're shooting like nitro lacquer, most of that stuff goes away. It just gases off and evaporates, and then it just shrinks back. That's why that's why it's so important that if you're shooting like nitro lacquer or like any lacquer from a spray can or just lacquer, you got to give it time to fully cure. And it's really important that when you're shooting that stuff, you just got to leave it alone. And I know that you may be like really excited to like, oh man, I want to sand and buff this out. Oh, this looks so great. Give it time, because like if you do it too soon, because I've seen this happen, you get your coats and then you let it sit a week and then you sand and buff it out and it looks good for like a couple of days, and then you've sanded off a lot of the stuff that was supposed to kind of gas off, and you've removed a lot of the material that was going to kind of evaporate. So now you have less material on the thing, and it still needs time to gas off, so to speak. And the result is it often sinks into the surface. Now, so if you're shooting, rule of thumb, like with, if you're doing like spray cans, and some of this stuff carries over too. Mostly with like colors and clears, especially like mostly clears. Maybe it depends on what you're spraying, but there's this whole like, let's just stick with like aerosol lacquer. 3 coats a day, 3 hours apart for 3 days. That's like for your final top coats. Because you got to give it time. You spray it, and then what's the difference between like a pass and a coat? Because like if you go across the face of a body, that's just a pass. So you go, you got to make that sound too, otherwise it won't go on right. And so now you've got generally about 3, maybe 4, depending on how large the body is. That's kind of your pass, and then you kind of go back, and then you go back one more time. That's generally 1 coat. Now, this isn't necessarily a heavy coat. Certain things need to be done at first, like a light coat. Like you get like a dust coat on there, and you kind of let that set up, and it gives something the rest. It gives the next few coats something to bite into, because this stuff, that's a whole other thing, is like adhesion. It needs to, like lacquer, like it will kind of melt into itself. You've got like this chemical bond. Sometimes you need like a mechanical bond, where you've got, you scuff it with 220 or 320 or whatever, or certain things like polyester sealers, like they don't really want you to sand it much past 220, because then there's not enough tooth for it to bond to. And so far, and I'm doing my best to like not be super caffeinated Sully right now. So that's kind of like your aerosol lacquers. You do like a sealer coat, maybe 2. You don't want to do too many, but you need to do enough. And this is again, like, do you have to do pore filler? Are we spraying on mahogany? That's a whole other thing. So you get your sealers done, you get that sanded with like 320 or 400 or whatever the product tells you to sand up to. And then you put your color on. If you're using rattle cans, and I don't mean that in a bad way, there's nothing wrong with it, but you may need to use a little bit more, because it doesn't necessarily spray on as nicely as like it would out of a gun. So you may have to do some color sanding. Now, when you're doing that, you have to be careful, like don't hit the edges, because it's real easy to burn through an edge. It's really easy to burn through an edge at any standpoint, but you just want to get it flat. And then, you start your clear coating process, which I've already kind of talked about. Generally it's a light to medium coat at first, and you follow the instructions for the product that you get, because they do vary. Now, if you're shooting something like urethane, like catalyzed urethane clear, you can do your 3 coats. You don't have to wait, 3 hour, an hour apart. It's until it kind of flashes off, and then kind of gets tacky. And I'm sure that there aren't Finnish guys watching this, but like maybe there are, and they're like, oh no. But I'm speaking in just general terms here, in a way that you can tell if it's getting tacky. It's like you can kind of touch in like a neck pocket or like a pickup cavity, and you kind of, does it feel stringy? That means it's setting up. And so like for your catalyzed urethanes, you do maybe 2 or 3 coats in a day, let it sit, maybe a day or 2, give that time, and then kind of flatten it out, and then do your finals, and then let that sit for a little while. And polyester is a whole different thing. I didn't get into shooting polyester because I was at that point where I'm like, am I going to get this? Am I going to get this and get, the expensive buffer and do all that stuff? And then I'm like, where am I going to put that in the garage? And so I opted to not do that. But I viewed those purchases as kind of like, this is a crossroads. You got to make a decision. And for the most part, I'm been happy with my decision. But there are things that I've missed with painting, in the time that I have since kind of partnered with others to do that, because I like shooting color coats. I like shooting the metallics. It's fun to lay on some clear. The thing that's challenging, especially with clear coats, and how important it is to really practice on scrap, which is unsexy and no one wants to do it. Because like with your clear coats and like a lot of the stuff, you don't necessarily find out that there's a problem until you're fucking sanding and buffing it out. And that sucks. I mean, sure, I've dug mosquito legs out of freshly shot clear. And there are times when it's like, no, that was a little, you got to go back and do something again. But like, you can get to the point where it's like, hey, yeah, this looks good. We're sanding it out. And, when I was spraying in the garage, it's not climate controlled, and it gets hot where I live. And, with urethanes, you can add hardeners that have a faster catalyzing time, like a slow cure or fast cure. Those are the words we're looking for. And a slow cure. Why do we want this to take its time? Things can go wrong. Yes. But you got to remember that these finishes, these products, they're really optimized to be shot in a specific temperature, generally in the 70s. So if we get into the upper 70s and the 80s, we want something that will let it flow out and take a little bit more time to cure. Why? Because when you spray your clear coat, it flows out onto your surface, and it, some will kind of, like a slow cure is nice because it'll give it time to kind of flow out and settle a little bit. And then start gassing off. So there's bubbles, there's all this stuff that needs to escape out of, this solvent that you're spraying. And if it cures too fast, it'll skin over like thin ice. And you find out in your wet sanding and buffing, or generally in the wet sanding process, you'll start seeing these little white specks in certain areas, and they're little teeny tiny. little white specks, and you brush it off, and like, it's not going anywhere. Those are pinholes. Those are gases that were trapped under ice. Not really ice, but that's my metaphor. And once, so it started to skin over before the stuff could evaporate. And then the only way to fix that is you got to sand it all back, and you got to do it again, and that sucks. Yeah. So now, if you're going to be spraying lacquers, I do recommend the StewMac stuff. It is expensive. It's good. There is a book. I'm going to show you this. Also, from StewMac. Get this. Just get it. Just get it. It's good. If a lot of the techniques that are in here can also, be applied to things like shooting automotive urethane. Yeah. So, what brand of paint do I use? And like, if you're shooting the automotive urethane, the different places that you get stuff from, they'll have PPG, or some places sell, who makes the Nason stuff? There's different different product lines. There's stuff that might be a little bit more affordable, stuff that might be more expensive, and it all kind of depends. So yeah, that's Paint Talk. That reminds me actually about Paint Talk. So I was turned on to this satin clear by my buddy Dean Gordon at Dean Gordon Guitars, and he uses it for his the backs of his necks, and swears by it. So I bought a quart of it. Did I buy a quart of it? I bought a quarter of a gallon. Whatever I had to buy of it, I bought, because there's a NAMM guitar that what I'm going to do with it is way too involved, and it would require multiple trips back and forth to paint. And so I'm just going to do it myself. And I'm going to use this stuff. And the nice thing is that it's, this satin clear. Dean saying it's real easy to spray, real easy, gets great results. So I'm looking forward to that. And it's cool because, there is still some paint work that I do. Like when we do like the 622s, 625s, things that get like a satin clear on the headstock, but like the rest of it is oiled and there's like no color on the face of it. I just shoot StewMac Nitro on it. And that stuff's real easy to use, and you don't need a ton. And yeah, so that's Paint Talk. How do I get rid of this? Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of that. Get rid of this. Oh, wait. Okay. And then we're going to get rid of that. So that's Paint Talk. Keith, I hope you saw that, and I hope that was helpful. All right. Let's see. Aditya? 20-year-old college student who's managing studies with practicing music. What would I suggest you? Are you playing guitar? I don't know. I would say, if you're looking for an instrument, quite frankly, there's not really a better time to be around, to get an instrument, depending on, especially if you've got a budget that's maybe not as much as you might like. There's a ton of guitars out there that you can get for not a whole ton of money. I specifically recommend maybe like the Conspiracy series from Sully Guitars, but without more specifics, that's about as specific as I can get. I'm sorry. Who was my favorite friend in 5th grade? Asked Scott Yonan. Was it Scott Yonan? Only my hairdresser knows for sure. And clearly, I haven't seen them in a little while. Greg, Greg, I think I had an old number for you. because there were times when I've sent you texts to no response. And I'm like, it's kind of rude. But I'm going to share this with you and the nice people. A tip that I got from Greg when it comes to drilling. Okay, let's say you've got a guitar with a Tune-o-matic, like a Tune-o-matic stop tail piece. And you have to drill the hole for the string ground because you have to do that. And if you're drilling, I really wish I had something here that could illustrate this, but I don't. So getting a small 1/8 drill bit into like a 10 mil hole to drill into like an electronics cavity, it can be a little dicey. The bit can wander. That's what this means. I'm not riding my old green machine. I didn't have a green machine. Those things were cool though. But Uncle Greg uses a tuner bushing. What's a tuner bushing, you ask? I'm glad I don't have one in this drawer. Why would I think I have one in this drawer? Tuner bushing, like, this guy there. You put that bushing in the hole and you use that to guide your drill bit and it comes out nice and clean. And so every time I do that, I think of Greg. So there you go. Chris Lindsay says, Dr. Dre's dead. Good morning, everyone. Maybe locate tools in the center of the room so they can be used at various stations, but return to a central location. There's a good point there. But like the center of the room is open because there's not a whole lot of room. But yeah, I do hear what you're saying. There's some, I need to, we probably need to hang some like additional pegboard and stuff in some of the other stations, which will help. And then, cause like we do have duplicates of some things, so that'll help. No, it just gets everywhere. Well, that depends. Life in general is challenging, sometimes fulfilling. Bouncy house paint area sounds cool. I got it on Amazon, and it's got like exhaust fans and like there were reviews in there from like automotive painters. So I don't need it to be perfect. It's collapsible, and that seems good because like the stuff that I'm gonna need it for is probably gonna be like satin finishes and things that have a little bit of forgiveness in them, unlike me. David Schoberg sends me a link with a comment with a link that I think if I click it, it's probably going to, like I can't click that. So no, I haven't seen this. Yeah, and like I can't select. Sorry, I can't select the link and like paste it into a. You know what? Well, let me just try. I'm gonna try something else. I can't. Okay. David, I'm sorry. I can't see what you're trying to send me. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't know who Jimmy is. So, I mean, maybe I could, but I don't know. Good morning, Joe. Yes, I am. Speaking of rattle cans, StewMac has just released. They have released a whole bunch of additional colors and stuff. So, Dave, is Canadian, and this is how you can tell. Good morning to Chris. Mosquitoes in Texas are like small birds. Yeah, I suppose. I'm pretty lucky with mosquitoes. They don't seem to, yeah. Okay. Boxer hairs in the solar res. Time to sand again. Catalyst. I know exactly what you're talking about with the clear. Urethane is much easier to spray. In my meaningless opinion, it's not meaningless. Joe, you matter, okay? Your thoughts matter. Stu MacLacker is the best, is what he says. Ever check out the House of Color stuff? Yeah, sure. Good stuff. A lot of it is, yeah, it's good stuff. They've been around for a million years. Hope everyone is staying cool in this insane fucking heat. You know, this summer, in this particular spot of Sullyville, hasn't been all that bad. I know there's heat domes and floods and hand baskets happening. For whatever reason, it hasn't been that bad here. We haven't had many like 100-degree days where usually we like from here to September is like 100, it seems like. But yeah, doing all right. Hope you're doing all right. Justin, what is my favorite Randy Rhoads riff or song? It depends. I will tell you that one of my favorite solos of Randy's is the solo in Tonight. I've always thought that was very fluid. Always thought it was very elegant. And a million years ago, long before I knew Mrs. Sully, who's a figure skater, I remember thinking that it flowed like a figure skating routine. I've always loved that solo. It's great. There's a part in one of his Spotlight solos where he just does this little like throwaway riff where it's like, and it always cracks me up, and it's like, I can't do it. Hang on. It's just this little kind of, and I always thought that was kind of cute. There are some chord voicings that he did that I liked, and it's not really the right term for it, but in Diary of a Madman, this part, I love that. That's a nice thing you can do with this, and nobody gets mad. My finger still is not, it's better. Like the stitches are out and we're healing. This is swollen like a fucker. I've had to do a lot of massage to try and manage it. And it helps. But like, I've noticed like things like if I'm kind of pulling to like do a bend, like this hurts, just in this knuckle here. I might take a nod from my pal Chris and switch to 8-gauge strings. I did some guitars for Chris, and Chris uses 8 to 38, and I thought it was going to feel like thread, and it was kind of like, oh, why not do this? Why not use these? And like I used to use 11s, I used to use 8s when I was a teen, and then I switched to 11s for a while because I was a crazy person. And you know, I've mostly been like 9 to 46, but like we might go to 8s. So those are some of my favorite Randy little bits. There's tons. And actually, like there's a part of the Mr. Crowley that one thing that I really liked that Jake does when he's playing the verse for Mr. Crowley, the Mr. Crowley. And I like doing I like that, adding that little thing for little arpeggiated D minor. Neither one of them did that. I did that, and I like it. But Jake would do and And then I liked that little part. I think that's cool. Jake rules. Again, so glad that he got to get some recognition at the Back to the Beginning concert. And he just rules, you know, and so sad about Ozzy. We all know. But yeah, I'm super stoked that Jake got his due. Great. Yes, great time. I don't care for Tuna-matics, but they care for you. Been brushing up on Mr. Crowley and my Concord, of course. There you go. Stuart, that's right. Doggone it, people like you. My favorite clear to use. You know, it's been a minute for that. I will tell you, gosh, the stuff that I used to use was just PPG, I think. Aw, Annie, hey girl, you bitch. Yeah. Greg, you rock, and you have a great weekend. How's the hand doing? Well, I think we kind of got into that. It's better. There are times when I'm doing way too much with it, and it lets me know. And yeah, but it's been exactly 4 weeks and a day. So all things considered, pretty good. 7 gauge. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm sure. Oh, I can't see the rest of this. Okay, here. And the tone was there. I used to make fun at skinny strings. Brian and Billy Gibbons have changed my opinion. You know, they're not, you know, people are like, oh man, you gotta have big fucking strings because that's what Stevie Ray Vaughan had. And cool, that's what worked for him. And they resonate a lot. And like, I get it. I bought into some of it. But like, also like, why not just make the thing a fucking pleasure? You know? And if you look, if you were happy with 13 gauge strings, that's cool. It's all good. But struggling for some sort of bullshit manliness premise is or tonal presence or whatever, it's not worth it. Gene, good morning. I don't know if he said it already, but he said it now. Absolute favorite song, Randy, is SAT. That's a good one. That solo is crazy bonkers. I can't get into that right now, but I like that. That's Brazophone. That is a crazy solo. It's bonkers. It's just it flippy and floppy and moving around, and it's fun. Got to get to work. All right, work. Let's see. I think. Oh, you know what? Ray asked on the Facebook page if the guitar that I posted was a kit for sale. No, I'm never going to do kits. For a few reasons. When I switched to 11s with a wound third string, nobody wanted to borrow my guitar. So that's okay. So that's just strategy. So hats off to you there. How many custom guitars have I built since I put out this latest opportunity? I don't know what you mean by the latest opportunity. How many custom guitars have I built? In the hundreds, but not as many as I'd like. Actually, I don't even know. That's because I'm a 52 on low. Okay. All right. That's cool. We are about to run out of time. So I would like to thank you for watching, interacting, and giving me stuff to talk about. So I appreciate that. I hope that you have a lovely day. You look great today, by the way. And I can sense it. There's a radiance about you. And I'm here for it. And I hope that you have a nice day. And I hope that you're nice to everybody. And I hope that everybody is nice to you. Because it's nice to be nice, right?